still very mild, but it is going to turn colder for all of us by the time we get to the end of the weekend. Still some light rain and drizzle over parts of eastern southern England and parts of Wales. A much brighter day for northeastern England on Sunday. A few showers again coming into Scotland. They could turn to snow over the hills as things do turn colder. Many places seeing some sunny spells, but yes, that colder air pushing into all of us by the end of the weekend.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the nation, because the truth matters, and so do you.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Drivers should be cautious on the A9000 Forth Road Bridge due to high winds. The A465 remains closed between Abergavenny Hardwick Roundabout and Mardy. In Durham, a collision on the A19 has closed one lane, causing delays between the A181 and the A182. Southbound congestion on the A38 in Derbyshire is causing delays. The M5 northbound in North Somerset has an hour-long delay. And on the trains, Chiltern Railways reports a significantly reduced service, with London North Western Railway affected by weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. Tonight on the show we have political commentator Andy Twelves. He's going head-to-head with Laura Brown from The Spectator. We're also going back in the clinic with Dr. Alma Khan and top comedian Adam Kumas. But first, let's go to the news.
Good evening. Your headlines at 7 o'clock. GB News understands that Rachel Reeves has abandoned plans to hike income tax rates as figures are better than expected. The Chancellor had hinted an increase was needed to fill a massive fiscal gap, but the Financial Times says she pulled the proposal over fears of breaking Labour's manifesto promise. The move avoids a political backlash, but leaves Ms Reeves needing billions from other tax changes to meet her spending rules. The BBC is awaiting a response from President Trump after apologising for the way his speech was edited in a 2024 Panorama documentary. The corporation says splicing parts of his January 6th address together was an error of judgment, though it rejects the US president's demand for $1 billion in damages. BBC chairman Samir Shah has written personally to the White House, and the episode has now been pulled as the fallout forced 2 senior BBC executives to quit. This comes as BBC Newsnight is also accused of doctoring footage of a Trump speech. That's according to The Telegraph. In other news, a Chinese national who drugged, raped and secretly filmed his victims has been jailed for life. 33-year-old Xiao Zhu, who police believe to be one of the most prolific sex offenders of all time, has been given a minimum term of 14 years at Woolwich Crown Court. Elsewhere, several people have been killed and injured after a bus crashed into a bus stop in central Stockholm. Swedish police say the accident happened around 3 p.m. local time on the Valhallavägen street in the Swedish capital. A police spokesman said it's being investigated as involuntary manslaughter. Now, amber weather warnings are in force across the country as Storm Claudia batters Britain. Up to 80 millimetres of rain are expected today, with deep floodwater posing a danger to life. The alert covers Wales, the Midlands and southern England, with a wider yellow warning across most of the country for 24 hours. Happy birthday, Your Majesty. Happy birthday to you. And King Charles has celebrated his 77th birthday today with a visit to Wales. He enjoyed a slice of birthday cake with celebrity guests who sang him happy birthday. It marks the King's 2nd birthday since ascending the throne in 2022. Those are the latest GB News headlines. I'll have more for you in an hour.
Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm Lee Anderson, the Reform UK Member of Parliament for Ashfield, and joining me tonight we have Laura Brown, the commissioning editor of The Spectator. It's your 2nd time on the show, isn't it?
It is, thank you for having me.
And we've also got Andy Twelves. He's back on the show for about the 20th time. He's our left in the corner. There's something else in the corner as well tonight, because just before we started filming, Andy, there was an incident in your corner. Please explain to the GB News audience what it was.
There was a small incident where I had a bit of flatulence here in the corner, and it made a noise that I'm not proud of. So I'd like to take this moment to apologise to fellow guests, the host and the production team behind the cameras who are looking quite ill. So I do apologise.
So there you go, public apology from Andy Twelves. We've thought actually somebody started fracking outside, but there you go. But this week, guys, let's be serious for 1 minute. Our prisons are in a right state. I asked the Justice Secretary a question this week in Parliament. This is a question and this is the response. It's been reported in the media that we have prison officers working in our prisons that can barely speak a word of English. In fact, they're using flashcards to instruct prisoners to go back to the cell. Now, you don't have to be a mastermind to realise that this is a recipe for disaster. So can the Justice Secretary please tell me if this is true or not?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I visit prisons regularly in this job, and I pay tribute to the incredible work that prison officers do day in, day out, including prison officers who come from other countries who do sterling work, making sure that our prisons are safe in appalling circumstances. And so I thank them for their work, and I reject the premise of the question.
Well, there you go, guys. Laura, we've got a situation now. This is how bad it is. And most people in the street wouldn't believe you if you told them we had prison guards in our prisons that couldn't speak a word of English. What's going on?
So what's happened here? I mean, this is appalling. This is one of the most important jobs that you can do, and like everything, like care, like doctors, we've farmed it out and shipped it out. But basically, because the government don't want to increase the wages paid for prison staff, they've instead put them on the short occupation list and awarded loads of skilled visas to people with almost no English qualifications. There's now multiple insider reports that prison officers are using flashcards, as you say, that they have a very, very basic grasp of English, that they would be directed to what to do. And then we're wondering why in the last year wrongful releases have gone up 138%. Of course they have. If you can't speak English, you can't read a form, you can't read don't release or, send on the bus to lawyer. And that's what's happening. And this is a clear consequence of cheap policy that prices foreign labour for low wages over British people who have skills.
So now the mist is settled, Andy, would you like to explain this for us?
I think I agree with Lara there that we should be paying British workers better, and we should, instead of trying to get around on skilled visa payments, I think we should be paying our British workers better. So I'm glad there's some consensus in the gap between these two tables. But looking at prisons, I think some of it is the Labour government's fault, but you can't just blame them. Prisons have been a mess for decades. The last Tory government, they only created 1,000 net new places in prison. 1,000 over 15 years, that's less than 100 a year. They didn't take it seriously. The operating capacity of these prisons has been an above unsafe level for years and years and years. The Tory government haven't taken it seriously. The Ministry of Justice are looking to make the systems more digitised to ensure that it doesn't come down to human error now.
Is it acceptable to have people working in our prisons that can barely speak a word of English?
No.
There you go, Laura. Agreement.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. But Andy, I'm sorry. I know it's very fun to get into government and do nothing and blame the Conservatives constantly, but, look at the data on wrongful prison release.
Yep.
We've gone up 138% in 2025. That is a Labour problem.
It's bad and it's wrong. They're addressing it. They are addressing it.
How? What's happening?
They're commissioning a review on the release systems. They're commissioning a digitisation review to ensure that it's not down to human error. That's fixing the problem.
It will still be down to human error.
Well, no, it won't. It'll be a digital process. The Tories refuse to have any kind of innovation in the prison.
At what stage?
Refuse to build prisons.
Serious question.
Update our capacity for years.
Serious question, Andy. When are people like you who sit in that corner every single week going to stop blaming all the problems in this country on 14 years of Tory rule?
I think fundamentally, those 14 years of austerity cuts, of underfunding public services, of lack of wage growth, of lack of economic growth.
So what's the point in a Labour government then?
When does that impact stop happening? I think give it at least 2 or 3 years. Genuinely.
So
it takes time to have system impact, Lee. You'll know this. If reform gets into
do you want 2 or 3 more years of this?
Hey,
please reduce it. Please reduce your aggressive
I'm sorry.
attitude.
He's the plumber that you call when your boiler's broken, and rather than fixing it, he just goes, bad job. I'm not interested. I mean, if Labour had said in the general election, vote us in, but we can't fix any of this because it's actually really messed up.
It does take time.
No one would have voted for them. 3 years. 3 years to fix stuff. And please explain to me why things in prisons have got so much dramatically worse in the last year when those cuts date back to 2017.
Yeah, that's a reasonable question, Andy. Why has it got worse?
Well, lots of things have been getting worse since 2017 across the prison estate.
No.
Yes,
a 138% increase in mistaken releases.
Yeah.
In the last year.
It's bad.
In the last year.
I've condemned it, Lee. How many times do you want me to condemn it?
No, Andy. I don't want you to condemn it. I want to know why it's got so bad.
I don't know. You'd have to ask the Ministry of Justice. Unfortunately, I don't work for the Ministry of Justice. I can tell you that the prison estate has been working at unsafe capacity for years. There's been basically no new prison places, basically no new prisons built in the last 25 years. The prison estate has not been taken seriously as a priority by Tory or Labour governments for decades.
Oh, a bit of an admission there, Laura.
I mean, he's right. Those are big problems, but those don't explain why mistaken releases suddenly jumped up in the last year. And I would say the fact that we put this job on the short occupation list and not offering skilled visas.
How the hell are people being released from prison? I mean, have they got flashcards at the gate saying, escapees, come this way now? Have they got those, you think, Laura? It's ridiculous.
I mean, they might do. The most bizarre thing is we don't even know who's got out of prison. Yeah. David Lammy thinks it's around 4. Go check their cells. I would really like to know.
Yeah, have a look in the cell, see if he's in bed.
In fairness, I don't think David Lammy is there in HMP Wandsworth, signing him out and, patrolling the corridors. I think it's a bit unfair to place all the blame on him. I think this is a prison estate issue.
He's not here to defend himself, is David Lammy, but do you think he's up to the job?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was absolutely. I think he was a young barrister. He has massive experience in judicial reviews, legislative papers. Yeah, absolutely.
Laura, concur?
He's extremely unimpressive. He's made a bad hash of the foreign secretary job. Now he's doing the same with justice. He's out of his depth. No clue what he's doing.
Andy, more deterrence, do you think? Because one of my big beefs, if you like, is I think we could control the prison population if the deterrence to crime were much harsher.
I think that's probably one part of it. I think it's a Swiss cheese solution. I think you've got to do quite a few things, and between them all, the situation will get better.
What does that mean, Swiss cheese solution? Are you okay?
Well, it's you'd have to make stronger deterrents. You'd have to build more prisons. You'd have to increase capacity. It's not just one single fix. It's like illegal immigration. You've got to have several different things that will come together to fix the problem.
Sounds like several excuses there, Laura.
Well, no, I mean, would reform build more prisons? If you were in power?
Well,
shadow work and pension spokesman?
I would like to see, Andy, stronger deterrents, harsher prison sentences, and people prosecuted. For example, shoplifters. It's a slap on the wrist. They're not even charged anymore. We've got to prosecute every single crime.
So when you bring capacities at 98%, you're going to put people in for longer?
Well, I'll tell you what we could do straight away. We've got 10,000 foreign prisoners in our jails. We could ship them back, 10,000 places overnight, Laura, straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem here is that you've got people with 40 to 50 offences who aren't going to prison.
Yeah.
So they go in crime after crime after crime. When they eventually get sentenced for a couple of weeks, maybe a few months, nothing meaningfully changes. We do need more prison capacity, I agree about that, but we need far harsher sentences before we even get there.
Yeah. Andy?
I agree. I think that through historic underfunding, whether it's the Tories or the last Labour government back in the early 2000s, I don't think community safety and those kind of early, I don't want to go on the whole kind of jangle about, community centres and youth centres, but I think youth interventions are an important part.
You can understand why people in other countries are looking at us now and thinking we're a bit of a laughing stock. We've got people walking out of prisons. We're deporting people back to France, and then a week later they're jumping on a dinghy and coming back, and we've got these awful criminals that are coming in the country, being locked up, being deported. I mean, we're an absolute laughingstock.
Well, I think, not every country is great. In the US, you've got these ICE fascists who are arresting American citizens and trying to deport them. I don't think the US is any better than us.
I think the judgment's a bit clouded.
I don't think they are. I don't think the fascism.
We're not talking about the US. We're talking about the UK.
When your man Donald Trump comes and criticises David Lammy, I don't think he's.
Yeah. I tell you what. I might as well talk to that point. What do you think, Laura?
It's very sad right now, but it's difficult to have a high view of the UK. Yeah. And I do fear about the perception of our government when people know we can't even be able to keep people in prison.
Mm. What's the perception of...
And if you was the Justice Secretary for... God forbid. If you was the Justice Secretary for 1 week, what would you do? What would be your priorities?
I'd commission building at least 15 new prisons. I think it's a capacity issue. Absolutely. We're running at 98% capacity in our prisons. The system is under strain. We need to commission new prisons and digitise the systems to remove that human error.
But do you think if the deterrents were harsher, people would stop committing as many crimes?
Probably. But I don't think that's the single issue, because if the deterrents are harder, then you're going to have an increased prison population. You're going to increase the length that people are in prison. So you've still got that capacity issue. You've still got the capacity issue if you increase the sentences.
But it's interesting what you said, Laura. With the sentencing, people, if they had harsher sentences, they would stop committing crimes. Because let's be honest, if you're in prison, you can't commit crimes outside, can you?
I think
very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. The majority of crimes are committed by a very small group of people, ultra-prolific offenders. If you put those people in prison for their first offence or their second, they can't commit 45 more. I think that's the key to getting justice under control.
Yeah, and we get it in my community, and Ashfield quite well. We have prolific shoplifters, and eventually the police will do their job and they'll send them to Lincoln or wherever they're going to go, and the shoplifting in the area plummets, because not only are they in prison, they're not out thieving.
Yeah, I think the Nottinghamshire Police and Crime Commissioner, the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner, is doing a great job.
What's that person's name?
It's Gary Smith, isn't it?
Is it Gary Smith?
It's not. No, that's the General Secretary of the GMB. It's Gary something.
Yeah, your Labour representative on the programme doesn't even know that.
In fairness, I don't represent the Labour Party. I'm just a member of the...
So, that's a great debate, guys, but next we're going inside the clinic with Dr. Armour Khan.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Well, I'm looking forward to this, Doctor. Is it good news or bad news?
Well, it's news.
I don't think so.
And, you know, there's no such thing as good or bad news with this. All news is useful news.
Okay.
And the whole purpose of doing a baseline diagnostics is to really find the good, hard bedrock on which we're going to build the foundations of your health. And without knowing that, we're just building on sand. We don't know what we're doing, we can give you advice and wait for things to go wrong. So the main purpose of what we're doing is to be able to give you very focused evidence-based advice based on data that we've collected, so we can implement or prescribe your foundation lifestyle changes that you need to put in.
Okay.
Any medication that you need, any specific help that you need from a specialist, all of those will come out of what we're going to talk about today. So this step is just going over what we found in the initial tests that have come back. So first of all, we're looking at the various pillars of health and wellness. And as you know, as we get older, we start to develop 4 major conditions. So we develop lung conditions, so our respiratory system starts to fail because we live in a polluted environment, particularly in the city.
Yeah.
You walk through the city, it's highly polluted, and that's having an effect on your lungs. Whether you smoke or not, it's going to have an effect. And that effect is increasing with the increase in the type of pollution, particulate pollution we're seeing. The other area is your cardiovascular. That's your vessels. They're going to suffer as you get older, and they're going to deteriorate, and that's through chronic inflammation. And that's going to affect a number of things. It's going to affect your cardiovascular system, your heart system, your circulatory system. It's going to affect your cardio-neuronal system, your brain. And dementia, most dementias are vascular dementia over time. And you know, a lot of people are worried about cancer, and it's becoming more and more prevalent because of our inability to settle and look for those predisposing factors of chronic inflammation, the genetic predispositions. So what we've done is we've looked at all of those.
Okay. Is more and more people getting cancer, or is it just that we're good at spotting it?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
The problem with cancer is that cancer actually starts at a cellular level. And even children are getting DNA changes, and they're producing these very small embryonic-like stem cells, which are cancer cells, cancer stem cells, which will eventually, if allowed to, go on to develop cancer cells.
So what are my cells like at the moment?
Well, your cells we haven't looked at, but what we've looked for, because of your history of having had cancer and got through it and come through it, there is always a risk, because what caused that cancer in the first place, your genetics and the environment that you live in, hasn't really changed.
Okay.
So the risk of it coming back is still there. So what we did was we looked for circulating cancer cells. It's a basic, crude investigation. If you imagine that you've got 5.5 litres of blood circulating, and we're looking at a small proportion of that blood, and to catch cancer cells in that is, there is a likelihood, but if we catch them, then we know that your body is producing them. And we've caught some. There are other tests that we're going to look at moving forward, which are going to look at genetic markers, biomarkers in your blood, which are far more accurate for cancers. So we're going to talk about that. Now that we've established you've had cancer, that you've got circulating cells, which may indicate that the cancer could come back. It's not an indication that it has come back, but it could come back, and that your body's still producing those cells.
Okay.
Okay. So what have we found so far? Well, we look at the sort of pillars of health and wellness. Primarily, we look at cardiovascular disease, which is still the biggest killer. Okay? And cardiovascular disease and metabolic diseases are hand in hand because they go together. One has an impact on the other. So there are some biomarkers which are elevated for you in your cardiovascular health risk assessment. So that's showing me that your body is aging at a quicker level than it should, probably quicker than your chronological age. Also looking at your shape, we're going to do some body metrics.
What do you mean by shape, doctor?
You're carrying too much around the waistline.
Okay.
This is a shape we all get. When I was on your show last, I was doing the same. I've made those changes and I've lost it. And I feel a lot better on it. And it hasn't really taken me out of my normal work.
Yep.
I haven't given up anything for it. I've just changed my choices.
Okay.
So we're going to go through that with you, specific to you, and we're going to work with our expert advisors on diet and nutrition. Your testosterone levels are also low, and that can be linked in with your stress, your central obesity, your metabolic resistance to insulin. All of those link in to how you metabolize and express your genes, which will then determine how your testosterone is working.
Yep.
So we'll look at those balances. Now we aim to put those right through lifestyle changes and through giving you that foundation rather than giving you medication. It's easy to give you testosterone, you then get hooked on testosterone for the rest of your life. But what I want to do is do it by supporting and supplementing. So we might look at some supplementation to supplement the precursors for testosterone, just to help you through that. We'll give you other things, we'll talk about other things that you can take, which will give you your macro and micronutrient requirements.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay.
Good.
Brilliant. Any questions?
Alcohol. I do like the odd tipple.
Okay. The odd tipple isn't a problem. Too much of an odd tipple does stress the liver a little bit and causes inflammation, and it will inhibit. It's toxic. So again, we'll talk about a healthy way of taking alcohol. This isn't about eliminating it. When we do your metabolic reset, you may not feel that you need that much alcohol. You'll still enjoy your drink, maybe one drink with your meal on a regular basis if that's what you enjoy, but you will control it a lot better.
So weight loss, how are you going to manage that?
Well, we may look at a metabolic weight loss program using one of the LGP1 antagonists, like Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro.
So the fat jabs?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not just for fat. There's good evidence to show that they actually have 41 different health benefits, as well as the weight loss and diabetes management.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do it from a medical perspective, and we're going to monitor it very, very closely.
So all in all then, Doc, room for improvement?
Yeah, there is with everybody.
Okay. Well, thanks for that.
All right.
Cheers.
Brilliant.
Evening. It's been a very wet Friday already, and there is more rain to come overnight. Met Office amber warnings are in place across parts of England and Wales. A continued risk of flooding as storm Claudia continues to sit well down to the southwest, but these weather fronts are draped across parts of Wales, the Midlands, eastern England, pushing slowly into northern England now. So as I said, there are amber warnings in place. Further heavy rain, a lot of spray, a lot of surface water on the roads already. That brisk easterly wind not helping matters either. Meanwhile, across Scotland, much of Northern Ireland stays dry. Clear skies in northern Scotland, allowing a touch of frost, whereas it will be very mild across the south. Could be some thick fog patches across the southeast for Saturday morning. The rain will be easing through the early hours, but still some wet weather to come over northeast England and the Midlands into Saturday. So because it's been so wet, that extra rainfall may cause some further flooding problems. A damp, dull, cold day across northeast England with that easterly wind persisting. Some of that rain getting into the southeast of Northern Ireland. We need to watch that as well because it has been very wet here. Meanwhile, for Scotland, a fine autumn day by and large. Plenty of sunny spells, especially on the west coast. Just a few showers coming in at times to the northeast. More than just a few showers, though, staying dull and damp for much of Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, down into the East Midlands. As I said, extra rain falling after the very wet conditions through today and tonight could cause some further flooding. Much of the south of England dry. If the fog clears, we see some sunny spells. 15, 16 degrees, still very mild, but it is going to turn colder for all of us by the time we get to the end of the weekend. Still some light rain and drizzle over parts of eastern southern England and parts of Wales. A much brighter day for northeastern England on Sunday. A few showers again coming into Scotland. They could turn to snow over the hills as things do turn colder. Many places seeing some sunny spells, but yes, that colder air pushing into all of us by the end of the weekend.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
It's time for Right versus Left with Laura Brown and Andy 12. So we saw more controversy over the past few weeks, Andy, with the BBC and the splice edit of the Donald Trump speech on Capitol Hill. Some people are saying that's the BBC interfering with elections. Some people are saying it's really, really bad what they've done. I think it's awful what they've done, splicing an edit to make somebody come out unfavourable and actually distort the truth, which is something you would never think the BBC would do, or would you?
I think in that dossier there were, 10 or 11 different things, not just the Trump thing, there were other reporting things that were quite clearly a drop in editorial standards, what you'd expect from any journalist.
Whoa, hold on. A drop in editorial standards?
It was a violation of editorial standards.
It's not a drop in standards, is it?
Well, editorial standards is the guidelines they operate on.
It's cheating.
Well, they did. It's wrong.
It's bordering on criminal.
It's wrong. I don't know if it's bordering on criminal.
Really?
I don't know if it's bordering on criminal.
We're about to find out.
Well, no.
Go on, Laura, let's chip in because we've had some nonsense already from this dialogue.
It started well.
I don't think that the Panorama documentary is a bad day at the office for one of the producers. I mean, it's really quite appalling. It's not, not our best work. Come on, it's very, very, very poor from the BBC, and heads need to roll. And I appreciate that some of them already have.
Yeah, I mean, the chief exec for News has resigned, and the director general has resigned.
I think the question that I'm interested in, looking at this, is what culture permeated so far through the institution that nobody questioned that edit through multiple rounds of checks before it went out? I have the same question about the documentary interviewing a family member of Hamas. I think there have been repeated things that have happened where not one person has piped up and said, hang on, this seems a bit dodgy.
Well, we don't know. Internally, they might.
But what we do know, or we can assume, is there is a rotten culture there. I think they're not here to defend themselves, but if a worker in that edit team can do that, can splice that edit together to make Donald Trump look really, really bad, then there must be a culture of acceptance for that sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's the kind of thing.
So that's not a drop in standard.
Oh, it's a violation of their editorial standards. That's what I mean. They have a set editorial standards, as GBNews does, as ITV do, as I imagine the Spectator
but why would they do
does.
it?
I don't know. I think the production company that made it have got the blame, but then they've revoked the blame, and it's kind of been passed around.
Yeah.
None of us know.
Why would they do it? What possible reason could you have, Laura, for splicing that edit together to make Trump look bad?
I mean, I can't speak on their behalf, but I can't think of a single reason why you'd make that edit if you weren't trying to make a deliberately anti-Trump film and you weren't trying to deliberately put a message forward that Trump is a threat to democracy, which is what that whole documentary was trying to show, and that was the sort of perfect proof.
In fairness, on his first day back in office, he did pardon almost all of the January 6th.
That's got nothing
well, then,
to do with
use
it.
those facts for your documentary rather than making up quotes.
But in fairness, he clearly does not care about insurrections and his supporters going and rioting in Congress because he did pardon them all.
Then why do they need to make up quotes in the documentary when they've got all that evidence?
No, I would have just broadcast that. He clearly doesn't care about law and order.
The BBC was once probably the most respected broadcaster in the world. It is the mouthpiece of the United Kingdom. It goes all around the world, and it should be a place of comfort, a place of safety. It should be an organisation that you can trust 100%. But with this, I think we've lost almost all credibility for the BBC.
I think the BBC is such a large organisation. You're not going to hold BBC Radio Nottingham, to blame for what BBC Arabia or what the BBC News Service centrally have done. Do you know what I mean? The BBC is huge. People forget this. It is massive. You've got the local radio stations, you've got the documentaries team, you've got the investigations team, you've got the World Service, you've got the international channels. It's such a large organisation. I think it's unfair to go after the local radio stations that, do great work for this that isn't their fault. Yeah, of course they do. Local radio is dying, and it is excellent to uphold it, mate.
It's a very large money we're paying for. I mean, people forget there's 1,000 salaries that we're paying for, and therefore they have a responsibility in order to defend that whole ecosystem to make sure their headline programmes are true.
I agree. I think they should be true. It's not controversial to say.
We bang on about the history and the culture of the BBC. Somebody was banging on earlier this week about the history of the culture, and I just said to him, what sort of history are you talking about? Let's go back to the 70s. Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, Stuart Hall, and then more recently we've got Hugh Edwards. These are scandals, Andy, which I believe and many of the British public believe, that have been covered up by the BBC for decades. Yeah, Laura?
We're not going to defend pedos, I don't think.
Yeah, there was a serious failure to investigate a lot of those crimes despite multiple complaints, which is very, very
And this is what I'm trying to get at, and it's a cultural thing within the organisation, I think, where they just cover up. They think they're too big to be held to account by the British public.
You could say that about any British institution, though. You see that in government, you see that in the civil service, you see that in large corporations. It's not just public sector. Which
raises the question I want to get to, guys. Should the BBC now be a subscription service, Laura?
I'm really torn on this one. I think we need the BBC for a few things. We have the best orchestras in the world funded by the BBC. That's very important. It matters to me. They also have the purchasing power to buy big sporting matches. I don't want those to get paywalled. I don't want people to be paying like 10 quid to watch the football. But they need to respond to incentive.
We do do that.
Yeah,
Well, we are.
The most major games the BBC has, they're required by law to buy them. I appreciate there's a problem, but the most major games. But they need to respond to incentives. And I think, I would get rid of the licence fee, definitely, and I'd fund them from DCMS, and I would allocate that funding according to viewers, so sort of halfway between.
Andy?
I think it should be a licence fee. I don't think a subscription service would be right for the national broadcaster. I think it's absolutely key that we do have a well-funded and centrally kind of governed national broadcaster of record. I think the BBC definitely needs to reform. No one's saying it doesn't need to reform.
If the national broadcaster is putting out untruths on air, which it is, let's be honest, that's an untruth. That's a deliberate attempt to undermine the President of the United States, who, by the way, should be our best friend in the world. If they're doing that, should the British public be forced to pay for that?
I think the BBC definitely needs reform. I think the mandatory...
Reform UK?
Reform UK, sadly not. Reform UK are on the BBC.
They got it.
They're on a lot.
Says the BBC needs Reform UK.
I think it's interesting to say that they are on there a disproportionate amount. How many MPs have you got now? Is it 4, 5? I can't remember. It's all these resignations. It's awful. You're on Question Time almost every week. Such a disproportionate amount. Where are the Greens? Why aren't the Greens on Question Time every week?
They've got 30% of the vote.
Well, no, it's a hypothetical poll. In actual real terms, they run 12 councils and have 5 MPs. I mean, come on. If we're talking about disproportionate representation, I think certainly the BBC needs less Reform UK, to be honest with you, Lee.
Laura?
This is nonsense. I mean,
they're always
it's
on
complete
there.
nonsense. Yeah, Question Time has been created to draw interest and respond to major public debates. If reform is setting the public debates and commanding 30% of the vote,
Farage has been on
they're going to get on
more
Question
than
Time.
any other politician in modern British history.
I'd love to know...
It's ridiculous. Zia Youssef, an unelected bureaucrat of Reform UK. Matthew Goodwin, an unelected bureaucrat of Reform UK, going out there giving the party line. I thought Reform UK were not the party of unelected bureaucrats. How does this work? How does this work? Three jobs here. Former chairman, big donor, what was he, head of Doge and now head of policy.
I tell you what, Andy 12s, unlike you...
Confused self-assessment.
Unlike you...
4 jobs, guys, 4 jobs. Buying influence in our political parties.
4 jobs? I tell you what, Andy, that's 4 jobs, 4 more jobs than what you've ever had, Laura.
I'm unemployed. HMRC, give me my money back, please, guys.
Absolutely unemployable.
I think what this all comes back to is if the BBC have abandoned the Ruthian principles of informing, educating and entertaining, they've abandoned good programming, they're now making things up, and you don't want to watch the BBC, you want to own a TV, you want to watch GBNews, you want to watch ITV, you want to watch Netflix. How dare the government say to you that you are hundreds of pounds a year to them in return for a non-existent service that is of no value.
I don't want to pay tax for a lot of things. I don't get much benefits out of my tax.
But you don't pay tax. You don't pay much tax, Andy.
Sadly, HMRC do tax me on my GBNews appearances, if nothing else.
Oh, so you get paid for spouting this
unfortunately
as well.
Unfortunately, so, Lee.
But no, Laura, we talk about a subscription service, but actually, at the moment, it is a subscription because you have to pay for your TV licence. You literally have to pay 170 or 180 quid a year to watch this nonsense. The only difference is you are forced to pay it rather than voluntarily paying for a service like Netflix.
Yeah, it's a compulsory subscription service and it relies on the popularity of other channels. Because if you want to have a TV to watch something else, you still have to pay it. Yeah. That's the really unfair part. I think it's if you, after this show, go and look at the court records for who is being dragged into court because they didn't pay the TV licence and being given a jail sentence, it's almost always very vulnerable, very poor single mothers. Yeah. I'm not a fan of a tax that's coming after those people and taking them to court.
I pay my licence fee. I do, whatever is it, yearly. I pay the big bumper one rather than the monthly. Yeah. I don't think Hugh Edwards should have a pension. I think he should have his pension took off him. His private pension.
Do you think it's good value for money?
I think it's great value for money. Not as good value as GBNews though.
It's coming around, Laura. You think it's good value for money?
No, I pay it. It's eye-watering.
Yeah.
And I don't watch the BBC. I very, very rarely watch what they produce because it's not interesting, it's not good, and they don't do the sort of arts coverage that I want, and I still have to pay it. I've got no choice.
That's the Proms are pretty good. You must like
them.
They're
not. They're not. I'm sorry.
Last night's the Proms.
Do you watch that?
No. But I thought with the orchestra thing, I hear they're good.
Why would you think that's a bit judgmental?
Because she said she liked the orchestras.
Yeah, but
last night the Proms is orchestra thing. I don't know.
Not all orchestras are created equal.
They're not. Well,
go on, Andy. You're from my neck of the woods. You know what type of people we've got around Ashfield and Mansfield. What do you think they'll be thinking this week, looking at all this nonsense, all this news?
I think they'll just roll their eyes and move on. I genuinely don't. I think you know this. People have got bigger issues in Mansfield and Ashfield than what the BBC are doing about Donald Trump. They'll probably roll their eyes and go, "Oh, not again."
No, we live in
I don't think that's true at all.
It is true.
I think people who are having to pay £180 a year in cash check will think quite hard about where that's going.
Yeah, this is how out of touch you are, Andy, on this subject. You are, mate. £180 might not be a lot to you.
It's massive. It says you, what, 92 grand MP salary, however much you earn from GBNews.
We all know about the wealth that you've created and generated in the
I thought I didn't have a job.
Exactly.
I'm wealthy but unemployed.
It's sarcasm, Andy. It's sarcasm. But for you, £180, it's 180 quid, I think, the TV licence. That's nearly a month's wages for you.
I know, it's I mean... I still pay it, guys. I still pay it. That's my fee for the show. That's why I do the show, guys.
But seriously, guys, let's have a show of hands. Are you for or against a subscription?
In the model you've described, against.
For.
You're for?
Yeah.
For?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to go
for a subscription service.
The licence fees continue is what I'm advocating for now.
We're going to go. Some confusion there with Andy 12s again, which is not difficult. You should have seen the state of him this morning when he turned up. Anyway.
I turned up early. Before Laura.
No,
you're eating your breakfast in the pub.
You actually turned up earlier than what you normally do, which is late. Anyway, we're going to go to the yes or no quiz. So, Laura, is there going to be an early general election?
Yes.
Andy?
No.
Andy, has Labour lost control of our prisons?
No.
Yes.
I mean, how can you say that with a straight face? Jeez.
They've doubled the number of people they're releasing from prisons by accident.
Andy, has Labour lost control of our borders?
No.
Yes.
Laura, has Labour lost control of our finances?
Yes.
No.
You see GDP this morning?
No, I got here on time, so I didn't have time to read up.
Last question, Laura, has Labour lost control?
Yes.
No.
Unbelievable, Andy. You said that with a straight. I know you're supposed to come in here and provide like a balanced argument, a balanced viewpoint, but come on, mate.
Well, I think on the
your answers were so dishonest. I think you could actually get a job with the BBC.
You're too kind. I'm not really high, mate.
I mean, prisons, borders, finances. The producer's shaking his head at that last comment, by the way.
In terms of the borders, I think the Tories lost control of them. I don't think we have.
Are we going back to the Tories again?
The Labour Party inherited uncontrolled borders.
Should we just accept a terrible declinist country because there was a government you didn't like 2 years ago?
I think
and we'll just give up.
The impacts of a decade and a half of government
are
still here and alive a year on. Yes.
Let's just all go home, stop trying to fix anything. No point trying to support any criminals because the Tories weren't very good.
Anyway, we're going to call that debate to a draw. It was 5-5. We're going to go from one comedian to another comedian coming up, and that's Adam Kumas. Do not go away.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
November sunshine for Italy and Greece this weekend. Meanwhile, Storm Claudia not just affecting the UK, but also bringing some heavy rain again to parts of Spain and Portugal. Wet in Lisbon, rain also across the Algarve and moving towards Madrid. Barcelona may be dry and sunny on Saturday, but things will change here by Sunday. Heavy showers in Nice, plenty of sunshine for southern Italy and Greece, and pretty warm here as well. The warmth continues across Croatia. Also, more heavy showers to come in Nice.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Well, that sounds like last orders at the bar. Today we've got comedian Adam Kumas. Good to meet you, mate.
Nice to meet you too.
Let's get to the serious stuff, the nitty-gritty stuff. Let's talk about toasters.
Yes.
We're talking about toasters before we start recording.
Absolutely,
What's this nonsense that you're saving up for a toaster?
I'm saving up for a toaster. We're on GB News. I know the audience. I also believe in buying British. There's one toaster that's made in the UK by Dualit, and it's completely made by in the UK, handmade by British people, British materials. It costs like 200 quid or something like that. And then I think there's one on John Lewis with like a British flag, but it's made by British people. That's what I'm saving up for.
So it's a matter of principle.
Matter of principle. It's overpriced. It's still just going to make toast, but I'll be sitting there going, it's made by a British person, that.
So can I take it from you that everything in your kitchen is made in Britain?
No, absolutely
Or is
not.
this just the start?
It's going to be the start. It'll be the toaster first, and then I'll move to other appliances as and so on. It'll be very expensive.
What about settees and stuff like that?
Well, do you know what? There's a cost of living crisis going on, Lee. So I've got to stick to IKEA for most of it.
Well,
but
obviously not. If
eventually-
you're paying £200 for a toaster.
Well,
it's not that bad, is it?
Well, it's a centrepiece. It's a talking piece, isn't it? So, like, when you come round, if you come round, I'll be like, well, there's the toaster, got the flag on there, and then we'll spend about 45 minutes talking about the toaster. And you'll forget about the sofa.
What a great night out that is. You just start a few beers with the toaster.
With the toaster.
On the coffee table, looking at the toaster.
That's it.
Yeah, I can think of better things to do. I know. But talk about comedy.
Yes.
How did you become a comedian?
Oh, so I'm a huge attention seeker, always have been. I have a desperate need for attention, which is why I'm here. And it was out of a need of like not wanting to do a regular job, even though that failed. I did a regular job for many years.
Yeah.
And just hitting the comedy circuit in the UK. I've always been a fan of stand-up comedy.
Did you used to get in, was you like a nuisance at school or a nerd?
I was definitely the class clown, so always getting into detention, always picking on the teachers, always getting shouted. I should have really focused on learning. I could have got a better degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it.
So nuisance in the classroom, and that's we're not encourring anybody to be a nuisance.
Absolutely not.
In the classroom.
Absolutely not.
I think I was a bit of a nuisance as well, to be honest. And was you a nuisance at home as well?
I mean, I'm one of four, so like we were all messing around and everything else.
Yeah.
So it's like a nuisance at home. But I think comedy was always, or taking the mick out of someone, roasting people was always the way to go.
Yeah, I like the bit of roasting. We spoke earlier about the legendary Don Rickles. He was a great roaster. I still watch those clips
amazing
on
roaster.
YouTube. But can you get away with that sort of stuff these days?
If you're funny, you absolutely can. I think it needs to be. People need to see the intent. So you can actually. I mean, I do roast battle once every couple of months in London, which is a great atmosphere, and you can be absolutely ruthless as long as there's a little twinkle in your eye and people know there's no actual malice or hatred.
It's fun.
It's all fair game.
It's all fun.
Yeah.
Where's this roasting session?
They do roast battles every month. I think they do it in Angel Comedy Club. They also do it occasionally in Top Secret, and there's also a yearly roast battle league. And some of my friends, they actually fly you across around the world, I think to like Los Angeles and Austin and stuff to...
So who's the best roaster in the business now?
I'm biased, but the best roast battler I'd say at the moment is a good friend of mine. His name is Ken Grinnell. He's a previous champion of the roast battle champion in the UK. One of the best comedy roasters.
And when you've been roasting people or doing your comedy act, have you actually ever offended somebody?
Absolutely.
Good man, we like that.
Absolutely, because people are soft. But I think at the end of it, one of the rules of roast battle is even if you give 5 jokes, they can be about anything, about your age, your race, your look, your ethics. The end is you have to either handshake or hug at the end, and that's the ethics. Yeah.
So I've been to some shows before, comedy shows, in welfares, miners' welfares, in small clubs, where everybody's been rolling about laughing, but there's been 1 or 2 taking offence. And I just think, for goodness sake, it's a comedian, it's comedy.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing here if you're going to complain?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, to be fair to these people, a lot of people, they're not very comedy literate. I think if you go to comedy clubs, you've got a good sense of humour. Maybe you were, if you're a bit more rough and tumble, but people are not all the same. Some people are very gentle, they've had very quiet livings.
But they sound these signs though. Adam, it says that you may be offended. I mean, come on, offence is taken, not given.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the weird thing as a comedian, when you are in a comedy club, if I'm performing to 150 people and most of them are laughing, or all of them are laughing, and there's 1 or 2 people who are upset, it's instinctual. I focus on those people and I go, what have I done to upset them? It's just a part of nature.
So when you go out there, when you get onto stage, are you instantly looking for people to pick on?
Sometimes sometimes, if I'm hosting a gig, so I host quite a lot at Top Secret Comedy Club on Drury Lane. If I'm hosting there, that is my job. I'm there to interact with the audience, pick on people, have a bit of good fun. If I'm just doing a set, like 20 minutes, it's less
For example, say you went out and we got somebody, an odd-looking character, say, for example, I don't know, Jack, our producer, who's stood in the corner of the bar.
Catching on, his name's James.
James. We call him Jack or James anyway. But would you instantly think, I've got a joke for him later?
If James was on the front row and he was, I don't know, doing something, or he was on his phone or something, I'd absolutely lay into him.
Good man, good man. So
Absolutely,
anyway, we're behind the bar, Adam.
Yes.
And we're going to get you to pull a pint. I know you've watched this show.
I've seen it.
It's the Alpacalypse.
This one.
That one there.
Okay.
You've got a pint pot there.
A branded pint
And while you're
pot.
pulling this, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
If you was hosting a dinner party tonight at home with your new toaster, and you had to invite 3 comedians, past or present, who would they be?
Right.
And go for it.
Past or present
Yes.
comedians.
And why? And what would you chat about?
Okay, so I think if it's going to be past or present, you've got to go with Richard Pryor. I think the guy was one of the funniest people around.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not as funny as that pint, by the looks of it.
There we go.
Keep going, mate. Keep going.
Oh,
no excuses. No, that's cheating. On the bar, please, mate.
Okay, there
Pathetic.
we go. There we go. Thank you, Lee.
So, Richard Pryor,
Richard Pryor, I would say Joan Rivers, the lady was an absolute legend, and a roaster herself. She'd be great. And I'd probably have Jimmy Carr, because he's got a bit of money, so he'd bring a nice bottle of wine, I think.
Yeah, he probably pays taxes as well, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, Jimmy is he's one of my go-to. Sometimes I look on the TikTok when I'm uploading my videos, and I'll have a little scan through. But him, for me, is like a modern-day Don Rickles.
Yes.
He can roast people brilliantly.
Yeah,
So, how do you get that quick?
It's just years of doing it. Years of doing it. It's just practice. If you practice a lot, and I mean, I've been heckled many times, and now when you first start off, you're like, oh, what am I going to do? And then after 10, I'm in it 10 years now. It's just second nature.
Yeah, I would say. I suppose there's some lines you can use over and over again, but
sometimes, but it's more just association. So like, I've got insults for everyone in this room, but I'm not going to do it because but you've got them there.
Oh, the crew are looking very, very worried at the back there.
They should be. They should be. But no, it's just when you do it for many years. It's
so
just
British comedy, lots of comedians these days, or some of the older comedians, should I say, Adam, have been cancelled. I think of people like Jim Davidson and Bobby Darrow, some of the old school 70s, 80s, working men's clubs, comedians.
Yeah.
People turn their nose up at these comedians, and I still think that there still is a marketplace for these people.
Absolutely, and I think the one thing about cancellation, I would say, is the positive thing that that can be taken from this current era is the fact that if you are cancelled, like Jim Davidson or anyone else, you can still have an audience. You can still sell tickets and still go to shows. You can go online. There's lots of ways. So I think if you're really funny, you can always have an audience.
Well, you are a funny guy.
Thank you.
I've heard that before in the film.
Thank you.
Pint's not too bad actually, Adam. I'm
Okay.
going to give you a 7 out.
Invite me back and I'll have another go.
We're going to invite you back. I'll tell you why we're going to invite you back, because we want you to be able to afford this toaster before.
Thank you.
Before the next time
That'd be
we go
great.
on the show. But
that'd be great.
Adam Kumas, great guest, great comedian, not so good a pint.
Thank you very much.
That's last orders.
Cheers. Thank you, mate.
Thanks for joining me on Lee Anderson's Real World. Been another great show with some great guests. But coming up next, we've got Friday Night with Matt Goodwin.
Well, a national newspaper has launched a stinging attack against me. I'm going to be giving you my response live tonight. We're then going to be looking at Labour's plans to emulate a tough approach on immigration in Denmark. Will it work? We're going to be hearing from a top expert. We're then going to be looking at the hypocrisy of the Green Party on the small boats. And lastly, we're going to be looking at grooming gangs in London.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Evening. It's been a very wet Friday already, and there is more rain to come overnight. Met Office amber warnings are in place across parts of England and Wales. A continued risk of flooding as Storm Claudia continues to sit well down to the southwest, but these weather fronts are draped across parts of Wales, the Midlands, eastern England, pushing slowly into northern England now. So as I said, there are amber warnings in place. Further heavy rain, a lot of spray, a lot of surface water on the roads already. That brisk easterly wind not helping matters either. Meanwhile, across Scotland, much of Northern Ireland stays dry. Clear skies in northern Scotland, allowing a touch of frost, whereas it will be very mild across the south. Could be some thick fog patches across the southeast for Saturday morning. The rain will be easing through the early hours, but still some wet weather to come over northeast England and the Midlands into Saturday. So because it's been so wet, that extra rainfall may cause some further flooding problems. A damp, dull, cold day across northeast England with that easterly wind persisting. Some of that rain getting into the southeast of Northern Ireland. We need to watch that as well because it has been very wet here. Meanwhile, for Scotland, a fine autumn day by and large. Plenty of sunny spells, especially on the west coast. Just a few showers coming in at times to the northeast. More than just a few showers, though, staying dull and damp for much of Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, down into the East Midlands. As I said, extra rain falling after the very wet conditions through today and tonight could cause some further flooding. Much of the south of England dry. If the fog clears, we see some sunny spells. 15, 16 degrees, still very mild, but it is going to turn colder for all of us by the time we get to the end of the weekend. Still some light rain and drizzle over parts of eastern southern England.